Hi friends, my name is Jess and welcome to today's practice. It is all about resetting our minds and our nervous systems. This is a practice that I did myself just earlier this week. I had a little bit to play around on my mat and explore, and I was really trying hard to force myself to do a vinyasa practice, to get my body moving and energized, but it was like trying to push a rock uphill. It wasn't happening and I was forcing myself. So once I took a moment to pause and to reflect, I listened to my body and this is what it told me that it actually needed. So I hope that you find something in it that you need for yourself as well. We will need 2 blocks, a blanket, 2 if you haven't, and if you don't have those, towels work just great. If you do have these 10-pound weights, highly suggest that you use them. Highly recommend, but they are not needed. Let's get started. We're going to take 2 of our blocks first. One at its highest height and the other at its middle height. And these can be a little bony or hard. So we're going to take one blanket and place it on top just for some padding. This block at the end will be for a headrest, and this one will go underneath our shoulder blades. So once we've got that set up, I want you to just take a moment to be here on your mat. I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose to your belly, expanding, inhaling as much as you can. Open up your mouth. Exhale, sigh your breath out. Inhale through your nose, all the way to your belly button, expanding. And exhale, let it go. One more time. Inhale, breathing into the spaces between our ribs. And exhale, release anything that we don't need, leaving it off of our mats. Take a few moments. And when you feel you're ready, we'll get into our first pose. As I said, this one's going to go underneath our shoulder blades. This will be a supported fish pose, and we might have to play around with these blocks until we find the right adjustment for us. Arms can be out to the sides, on the belly. Legs can be bent like this in constructive rest, or if it feels good, you can straighten your legs here. And if this is too intense, because this is a bit of a back bend, it's a chest opener, there is another option. We can take our blanket and roll it up. And this blanket is going to go underneath our shoulder blades. And the same thing here. Arms can be out wide, maybe up over our head for this one. Knees can be bent, or legs can stay straight. Play around here. Take a few moments to explore. And then once you find your pose, start to settle in. Getting out any wiggles, any movements that we might need to. And start to let gravity take over. Listening to your breath. Observing any thoughts or feelings that might be popping up in our minds. And listening to your body. Seeing what it tells you. Noticing any areas that might be feeling open or any areas that might be feeling a little tight or tense. And if we are finding some of our body is gripping or holding on, trying to hold us up, as you exhale, see if you can let that go. See if you can allow that part to soften just a little bit. Let your shoulders fall towards your mat. Let your hips sink in. This practice is a bit of a mix between restorative and yin. It doesn't quite fit into either category. Restorative, your muscles are usually completely relaxed and at ease. And in yin, there's a little bit more of a deeper sensation, getting into your joints, your tissues, your fascia, really going deep within those layers. And this evening's practice, or morning, if it's morning for you, will be in between those. So there's going to be a bit of sensation, a bit of stimulation in our muscles and our joints, but it shouldn't be too much. It should just be just a little bit. There should never be any pain in anything that we are doing. There might be that bit of stimulation, bit of sensation. And if anything is uncomfortable, feel free to adjust and change the poses in whatever way is feeling good for you today. Because each day we change. Each day we need something a little bit different. We're here in this position for just a little bit longer. But I want you to take a moment to check in with yourself. See where you're at. Notice how your body is feeling and responding. Notice your breath, if it's changed at all or if it stayed the same. And notice your mind, if it's been wandering, or perhaps it's been here in stillness. Not judging anything that may or may not be happening, but just observing with curiosity. Beginning to deepen your breath. And in your own time, we'll slowly start to make our way out of this position. If we are on the floor with a blanket rolled underneath our shoulders, we're just going to simply roll to the side, take a few moments here before we rise to a seat. And if we're on the blocks, keep your chin tucked to your chest as you slowly use your arms to press yourself up. And wherever you are, we're going to take just a few moments to let our bodies process. Invite in any movements that might feel good, or maybe it's just hugging your legs and staying in stillness. This practice is for you, your body, your minds. So really listen to what your body might need right now. And we're not trying to force anything. And we'll start to come into the next pose. We'll take one of our blankets or towels if we're using those. And we'll take this to the side of our mat. We're going to be using a wall here. And make sure that all of our other props are close by. So we're going to bring our legs up the wall, but give yourself space here. We do not want our hips close to the wall. We want a lot of space. And this blanket is going to be for our neck roll. So rolling up the blanket or the towel just enough to fill the space between your neck and the ground, and then very slightly overfill that space so that our head can tilt slightly back. Here we're going to take our left foot to the wall and our right ankle will come over the knee. So maybe our left leg is straight first and then slowly sliding it down. So there should be just a little bit of sensation in our right hip. And if we're feeling too much sensation, then we're going to scoot ourselves back off of the stretch. So again, take a few moments to play around here. See what feels good for you. And hands can be on our bellies, out to the sides. Once we've found our position, we'll start to settle in to the second pose. If you find that your left foot kind of wants to slide itself down the wall here, then you can take these blocks and set them up by the wall so that if your foot does, your heel can just rest on the block. In whatever position you look like, making sure that we feel fully supported so that our bodies and our mind can rest. Giving ourselves this opportunity to reset. Begin to deepen your breath. And on your next inhale, gently slide your left leg back up the wall. And your right foot will meet the left. Take a few moments here if you wish. Maybe windshield wiper your legs from side to side. And then we'll find stillness and take our left ankle over your right knee, just below it. And slowly start to slide your right foot down the wall until you find your stretch here. So hips are staying on your mat. There should be no pain anywhere, and there should be just a little bit of a gentle stretch. Take a moment to play around on this side. Each side might need something a little bit different. And then we'll start to settle in here. Knowing that if your mind does begin to wander, it's okay. Any thoughts or feelings that are coming up in our minds, acknowledge them and accept them for whatever they are. But we don't have to run away with them. We don't have to get caught up in the story. We don't have to get sucked in. Once we are aware and realize what's happening, bring your awareness back to your breath, back to a present moment sensation. The breath is our anchor to the present moment. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, begin to slide your right leg up the wall. And when you're ready, your left foot will follow. Take a few moments, invite in any movements, or find a place of stillness. We brought these blocks underneath our feet, so let's go ahead and move them off to the side. And we're going to wiggle ourselves closer to this wall. Taking this neck roll with us if we have it. And if we do have these sandbags, they feel really nice on our shoulders. Most of us hold a lot of tension here, so these really help. We're going to come into legs up the wall. If we want to cover ourselves up with a blanket or add any other props, if we have a strap, we can always hook our thighs together to give ourselves a bit more support, making this pose yours. Any final adjustments, and then start to settle in. We're about halfway through. Let's do a mindful check-in of where you're at. Notice how our body is feeling. Notice your mind, your breath. Observing with curiosity. Usually the first pose is the hardest, transitioning from our busy day to being still and peaceful on our mat can be challenging. And as we move through a restorative or a yin practice, it tends to get a little bit easier and our minds tend to get a little bit quieter. It's not always the case. Some days there's just a lot of mind chatter. It can ebb and flow, go up and down. It's natural. Just noticing and meeting yourself wherever you're at right now. Begin to deepen your breath. Exhale, sigh it out. Allowing yourself to be a little bit softer. Releasing any tension. And we'll bend our knees, taking a few deep breaths, allowing our blood flow to return a little bit back to normal. Once you feel ready, we're going to scoot a little bit away from the wall again. So shifting any props that we have. And let's keep our feet on the wall and mindfully lower our knees to the left. Gazing out over the right shoulder if it feels good for you. If you have these weights and if they feel good here, you can keep them. If we have the second blanket, it's a couple options. If we want to feel cozy and secure, we can kind of wedge it in between our hips and our torso here. Or we can use it for support. We can take it underneath our knees or in between. So just like with all of our poses, take a few moments to play around, see what is working for you here. And once you've found it, we'll start to settle in. And taking a nice deep inhale through the nose all the way to your belly. Exhale, sigh your breath out. Settling in a little bit deeper. Releasing any tension there might be in our jaw. Let your forehead smooth over. And allow your body to melt into your mat. There's no work to be done. There's nothing that we're striving towards. We're just allowing ourselves to be. begin to deepen your breath. When you're ready, with as little effort as possible, bring your head back to center. We'll start to walk our feet up the wall to center. Maybe take your knees to your chest, giving yourself a hug. And when you're ready for the next side, mindfully lowering our knees over to the right, knowing that this side might need something different. Setting up here, head or eyes can be looking towards the ceiling or out over our left shoulder if that feels good. Making any final adjustments. And then starting to settle in here. Nice deep breath in through the nose to start, all the way to our bellies. Exhale, sigh your breath out. Getting a little bit heavier, sinking a little bit farther into this pose. Begin to deepen your breath. Gently bringing your head back to center and walking your feet up to the middle. Take your knees to your chest. Rock from side to side if that feels good. Maybe bring your knees around in a circle. Take a few moments. And when you're ready, we've got one more pose before Shavasana. If we have these weights, let's go ahead and move them off to the side. And we'll take our block for this next one. Either at its smallest height or its middle height. We're going to take it at our sacrum. So alongside our hips. It should not be digging into our spine at all. You can stay right here with legs in constructive rest. Or if you'd like a little bit more stretch and sensation in our thighs and our hip flexors, see if you can take your right ankle back towards you. Only until you feel this stretch. You can take hold of it with your right hand, gently bringing it as close to you as feels good. And I'm going to invite you to just play around with this on your own. So I'm not going to cue you to switch legs. Just whenever it feels right for you, you can switch to the left leg. Take a few moments to adjust anything at all here. And then we'll start to settle in. We're about halfway through this final pose. Let's do a quick check-in with ourselves. How we're feeling here. Anything that's maybe changed since we first sat on our mats, or anything that might still be the same. There's no judgment. We're just observing and noticing with curiosity. Wherever you're at right now, honoring and respecting. Beginning to deepen your breath. Bringing the soles of your feet flat onto your mat if they're not already. And gently pressing your feet into your mat to lift your hips just enough that we can move this block out of the way and slowly lower. Bring your knees to your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. Inviting in any movements or stretches before Shavasana, our final resting pose for this practice today. And I invite you to do any version of Shavasana that feels good for you right now. So we can come back into legs up the wall. We can be in traditional Shavasana or anything else that your body is wanting or needing. And once we've got that figured out, let's go ahead and start setting up. If we have props with us, go ahead. I encourage you to use all of the props that you can. That's what they're here for. And once we've found this position that works for us, do a quick body scan from head to toe, seeing if anything is slightly uncomfortable. If we could do a little adjustment, would we be 5% more at ease? If our muscles are gripping anywhere, trying to hold us up. And see if we can let that go. If we can move our props to help us out at all. And once we've finished adjusting, we'll go ahead and settle in to this final pose. Taking a deep breath in through your nose all the way to your belly, expanding as much as we can from all sides. Exhale, sigh your breath out. Let everything go that we're holding on to. One more time. Deep inhale through the nose, expanding like a balloon from bellies, ribs, back body. Exhale, release. Being mindful and aware of anything that may be coming up here. Acknowledging any thoughts or feelings, any sensations. And if we find ourselves drifting away or getting caught up in our mind chatter, bring your awareness back to your breath. Noticing your inhales and your exhales. Feeling the rise and the fall of our belly or our chest. And I'll bring you out shortly. begin to deepen your breath. If you have the time and want to stay in Shavasana longer, feel free to pause the video and stay here for as long as you need. And when you're ready, we'll begin by inviting in gentle movements in our fingers or our toes. Rock your head from side to side. Reach your arms up overhead and stretch as if it was your first stretch of the day, from fingertips all the way to toes. Maybe doing some circles with wrists or ankles. Bring your knees into your chest for one final hug before rolling on to one side of our body, taking these few final breaths on our mats, just for ourselves, enjoying these last final moments of stillness, thanking yourselves for showing up to your mats to practice, to take this time out of your day to be here in stillness, something that we don't always do. And with as little effort as possible, slowly rising up to a seat. Inhale our arms up overhead, palms touch. Exhale them down to your heart center. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope you found what you needed. Namaste.